Hi there. Hello, everybody. It is so good to be here. Welcome to Finding Joy Live. This is a live space for us to talk about joy, and I am so excited to be in it with you today. In America, we're going through this, Thanksgiving thing. So in a couple of days, we're going to have family events. And I suspect that even if you're not listening from the US, you're going to have family events soon too. So I thought I'd take a few minutes. We got away this time from our interview format because I just wanted to take a few minutes to really talk to you guys about holidays and family and joy and how we do it, right? How do we do it? Because a lot of times we can let family kind of toss us over to the side by accident, right? We don't even mean it. And some people come from families that it's not easy to go to the family gathering, and other people come from families where they've either learned to be together or they always knew how to be together peacefully. So I wanted to kind of talk about that because joy is part of this season. It's part of what we do in the fall and the winter in order to really sort of preserve ourselves. We have less nature in general to rely on, right? We can't just go for a hike. Some of us, those of us in the Northeast, which is not me this year. But I want you to just take a second here to think about what is your best plan for this holiday that's coming up. And this works on any holiday. It doesn't have to be Thanksgiving, doesn't have to be Christmas, doesn't have to be any of the holidays that are on the horizon here, right? So let's take a couple minutes and do that. The first thing I want to say is that holidays are full of love and joy and hugging and wonder and magical moments, as long as we're not caught up in the irritation and the discomfort and the, everybody pushing our buttons, right? So that's the tug that goes on here. And I think that it's really important to understand why we have this tug. So in general, we get together with people who are in our family, which means they've known us for a long period of time, right? So there's longevity. And what's happening for us in our day-to-day is that we are reinventing ourselves all the time. So every day, you're a little different than you were the day before, and then a little different again the next day, and a little different the next day. And often when we get together with people who we haven't been with for a while, they're not caught up to speed with who you are today. Right? I want to say for those of you watching and listening, I'm just going to pop in here and say, please do put a comment in so I know who's here and can say hi to you. Or certainly if you have any questions as we go along, always happy to connect about that and to really get you what you need as well as whatever I'm planning to give you, right? Because a gift is only as good as how it's received. So here we are, we're in the reinvention process. We do the reinvention process every day without thought, right? So some of us are inventing ourselves into the same person over and over and over again. We get up and we get off of the same side of the bed every day. We make the coffee the exact same way. We have the same breakfast. We get the children's breakfasts ready. We get everybody's, routine is the same. It goes over and over and over. And we end up being in a same place every day. Two things. One is inherently, that is a little dissatisfying for us, right? So it's a hard thing to do over and over and over again for years on end. So if that's the cycle that you're in, then you want to listen up so that you can get to the point where you're reinventing yourself to be somebody who you really want to be, right? You're making those minute changes along the way so that you don't wake up one day and go like, oh, how did I end up in this life, right? So that's one thing. The other thing is knowing that we are inherently doing it. It is just part of who we are, right? And it's happening on a vibrational level. So I want to explain to you how we relate to each other before we go into that holiday that we're about to go into. How we relate to each other on a vibrational level, right? So it sounds a little airy-fairy, but really what I'm going to talk to you about is how do our brains relate to each other? This is science. It's been studied. The reason I know it is because I read a study about it, right? So what happens is when we speak to one another, when we converse, when we try to be in connection with one another, we start to get a similar brainwave going on. Our brainwaves start to harmonize, for lack of a better way of putting it, right? They start to go in synchronization. Sometimes that's lovely, right? You go to a concert, you hear the music, boy, are you glad that that's happening, right? You go to a play, it's uplifting, you think, yes, this is exactly right. You talk to your best friend, they've had a big win in their life, they're telling you all about it, you think, yay, I am so glad that what's happening right now, although nobody ever thinks about it, is that my brain is in synchronicity with your brain and you're in a wonderful place. However, when we go to family gatherings or any place that we haven't been in a very long time and people expect us to be someone we used to be, then it can be very, very, very uncomfortable. It can be really uncomfortable because who they think you are isn't who you are, and who they are isn't who you think they are, and who they want you to be, right? Where they are today and where they want you to be in order to be a good match for that conversation may not be where you want to be. So we say things when that happens like, oh, it's so hard to go see family, right? But in reality, it's an inside job. So I want to teach you a little bit today about how you can get ready for that so that it can be a really, really good experience instead of whatever is in it for you today, right? So the first thing I want to say is prep and pre-pave. So what do I mean by that? Prep means I'm going to take time out of my schedule. I'm going to get me ready. I'm going to believe that I'm going to have a good day, right? I'm going to believe that who I have become is who I want to be, and that none of that, right? None of that. It all activates things in our energy systems that are really solidified, right? They're really solidified. So it feels like somebody's pushing a button and all of a sudden off to the races, right? But in reality, we can, in advance, decide today, no matter what happens, no matter how many buttons get pushed, I am still the person I want to be, and I will be the person I want to be when I wake up tomorrow. That my growth is progressive, even when it goes off in the weeds for a while, right? So, that's really important. And then, so that's that prep part. The pre-pave part is when we really take a minute or 5 or 10 or however long you want to think through what will happen, to say, I'm going to arrive. I will be cold. My coat will be on. I will need a place to put it. Oh, they never have a place for my coat. What am I going to do about that? Right? Oh, I always feel terrible when I get told to put it in the guest room because that used to be my house, or any of those things, right? That go through your mind that are triggers for you, right? And so you're going to go through systematically and imagine the event, not just the way it always has been, not that at all, but the way that it could be in the best possible version, right? So what do people do at this moment? Usually right now, in this part of the conversation, people go like, oh yeah, that's not going to happen. Right? Oh, yeah. No, this takes willingness and it takes belief and it takes risking your heart, right? Because it means that if you're willing to imagine that something really good could happen, that it might not. And it has to be worth more to you to believe that it could than to be safe in that moment of continuously collapsing the same reality in a direction you don't want to go. So it's risky. It takes willingness. This work, it's not easy, but it is so worth it. And it sounds super simple, right? So we've prepped, we've pre-paved, right? What else are we going to do? A couple of little pointers I want to give you is just to remember that no is something you're allowed to say. No is not only something you're allowed to say, no is a complete sentence. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I have not really gotten the hang of no as a complete sentence. Occasionally, I do it really well. But a lot of times, I'm an over talker, right? I think if it's uncomfortable, if I just throw more words at it, maybe it'll get better, right? Maybe I can talk it into a better place. But don't forget the power of silence, right? You can be quiet. You can not answer. You can get up and go someplace else. You can say, excuse me a moment. You can go outside for a breath of fresh air. You can stay calm in yourself. You can say, no, thank you. You can say, no, not right now, right? You can make it easier on the people around you if you're a people pleaser like me, or if you're strong in yourself and you feel like, oh, I just needed to know I could say no. Yes, I'm going to say no then. That's what I'm going to say. Then embrace your way of doing it, right? Embrace where you are now and how you will bring it to life in your relationships. Relationships are tricky. Like I said, we've all been away from each other, growing, becoming different, adding things to ourselves, feeling new things. And so when we get together, we don't know what they've been through, and they don't know what we've been through. And those could be fantastic highs, or they could be very dark lows. And they don't mean that we're going to share them together, but they do mean that it's part of our vibrational makeup. It's who we are now, right? What we go through, what we continue to bring with us, what we choose to include in our vibrational makeup, it is who we are, right? We don't have to include all of it, but whatever we choose to include, it is who we are becoming. So go ahead and say, I'm not ready to talk about that right now. Oh, I'd like to talk about something different. Oh, this makes me uncomfortable. I wish we weren't talking about this. Oh my goodness, I had no idea I'd be so triggered so fast, right? Anything you want to say, you can, if you've pre-paved and you've really prepared yourself, you can deliver that message lovingly and caring and preserve a relationship without destroying it and still get all of your needs met because you're the one who's meeting them, right? We're not going in and putting our little tentacles out and going like, who's going to fulfill that need and who's going to fulfill that need? And oh yeah, I always talk to this one over in the corner and that feels good, so I'll go do that. And right? Turn within and let's talk about really getting those needs met in you. Okay. So there's two other things I really want to talk about, and they're a little more advanced. But words, they're really important. And if that's where you're going to start, what we just talked about, you start there, right? If you want to pre-pave ways to say things in a way that is kind and courteous and still what you actually want to say, then definitely say that. It's good to see you. Thank you for commenting. That's super great. Thank you. Love it. Connecticut's in the house. But two more things that I want to talk to you about, and they're a little more energetic. And the reason I want to talk to you about them is because, I'm always talking about joy. I'm a joy coach, and that's what I talk about. That's what we all want, right? We all want to be happy. We want to find a way to feel good and be in our life and be productive and be in relationship with others, right? All of those things. So in order to really get from a place where we're not necessarily in joy very often to a place where we're enjoying joy quite often, then we really have to make some changes that are bigger than just what's coming out of our mouth. We have to make some changes that are even bigger than what's going on between our ears. We have to make some changes that are part of our vibrational makeup. So I'm going to talk about that just a little bit here. So some of you will come with me, right? And some of you won't. That's okay, because I can talk to any of you on whatever world you're living in, okay? So at this holiday, I want you to try to focus on connecting without opening your aura. This has taken me some practice. This is a thing that when we are very aware of ourselves, then we're aware that there's space outside of us that we like to be in, that we are in, right? So you can know that because you have personal space, right? When somebody stands too close to you, particularly someone you don't know, stands too close to you, you go like, yeah, this doesn't feel good. Why is that person in my space, right? That space is the space of the aura. So connecting, but not connecting in and creating a permanent I-beam link, right? To really keep yourself as you and interact from inside your safe space that is you, as opposed to what many of us do, go straight to the person who has been the authority in your life, show them the meal that you've brought and say, isn't it wonderful, this casserole I made? And have them go like, oh yeah, thanks. And we're gutted, right? So keep yourself as you, as a complete unit. Don't look to other people for that approval. Know that it is in you, that you are complete and you are showing up as you, as a complete human, okay? And then the third thing that I really want you to think about is what we walk away with from holidays. What we walk away with is whatever we choose to carry out of that event. So what happens usually is that we end up in a drama festival, right? But, so-and-so said this, and then that one said, and I did not like it when they said that. And that one doesn't even believe the same things that I believe. And, they are a different political party. They are a different thought pattern from me. They are from a different part of town. They have a different amount of money. They see the world different. It doesn't matter what it is. It does not matter what it is. Those are the high drama moments for us. Did you hear what she just said to me? Right? Those are the high drama moments for us. But they are not necessarily the moments that are worth carrying out of that event. And so I want you this time to be very, very aware of what you choose to take with you. Because there may be a child there who says something wonderful to you. And it's a juicy moment. But you let it be outshined by somebody saying something that you disagree with, right? There may be a pet there that you haven't seen in a while that you spend some nice time with. There may be someone in the group who compliments you and says how wonderful you are and how great it is to see you. And you may let that be outshined by the rest of what happens. It may be as simple as, I liked the flavor of that food, right? But you get to choose what you take with you. Nobody else chooses that for you. Everybody else has an input on what happens in that room, right? What happens on that day. But nobody else gets to determine what you decide to keep from that time period, right? So I want to just remind you of these things. We have a whole holidays training that is available to you. I want to, here, let me give you a little way to find out about it. If you go to and send an email to joycoach@donnalynn.us, yes, it is true, .us. You can send it even if you're not in the US, it's fine, right? If you send me an email and talk to me about these things, then we can, all you have to do is say, I'm interested, and I'll know what's going on, right? Then we can talk further about it. But these types of topics are all covered in my Joy membership. And we have a specific training on exactly how to go into family gatherings, and particularly family gatherings when we've had a recent loss. So if that's something that you think, I'd really like that, I'd like to have some guidelines, I'd like to know other people who have been through this, I'd like to be able to talk through what's happening and how I get from where I am to where I'm going, then this could be a really good thing for you. Okay, so feel free to pop on my website, my email is there, and also just shoot out an email. It says joycoach@DonnallynnRiley.us. You've got it there now. And let me know that this is for you. And I will include you in the announcement email about the next time that that's available for you to join. It's an ongoing thing, and it's a really powerful way to be connected to other people, right? Because we're going to talk about the stuff that comes out of our mouth. We're going to talk about the stuff that goes between our ears. We're going to talk about the stuff that we can't see and we don't know why it's messing us up. We're going to talk about our hearts. Oh, I have one more tip for you today. For those of you who are very, very good at feeling the energy in your body, when you have a feeling of anxiety, angst, worry, stress, something going on in your gut, if you can, just think to yourself, I'd like to move all that energy up into my heart and see what happens. So we'll experiment, and you'll get to find the things that work for you, and we'll get to be together to get you to the next place. So I am so glad to connect with you guys. I'm excited about the coming holidays, both Thanksgiving and the December holidays. So reach out, say hello, and I will see you next week. Bye.